Good evening and welcome to the Minions of the Zoo. Not on the Minions of the Zoo channel, on the Harry channel. With me tonight are not Minions Sora Luna,
Hello, it is not me.
not Minions Skep,
Not me either. Hi,
not
everybody.
Minions Serenity.
Hello.
Yeah, and it's just going to be one of those technical excellence episodes. Couldn't get into the Minions channel. People are showing up in the wrong place. Let's see if I can get people's icons lined up. Everything is just like going just terribly, terribly wrong.
Woo.
Okay, it's a Saturday.
There we go. There we go. Look at that, like magic.
I thought it was the big one. The screen was changing.
Hi, Bigora.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
hi, Skep.
Ethan Bigara. How you doing, Harry? What's been going on, man?
It's been okay. I've been doing a whole bunch of tech stuff. And I was text messaging somebody about a package called OpenStack. And my text thing on my phone tried to autocorrect it to porn stars. Now, I was
Yeah, as it does.
I was sending a message to a customer.
Oh,
And what the message was going to say is, it's been a really good
YOLO.
week for porn stars this week.
oh no. You want to hear an embarrassing autocorrect? This was years ago on Facebook Messenger.
Sure.
I was telling someone I had a sinus infection.
Okay.
For some reason, it autocorrected to anus,
Nice.
and they were like, "I didn't need to know that." And I was like, "Why are you? Oh my god!" I typed sinus and it's autocorrected.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And that's when you shut down everything, you pack your bags, you disappear in the deepest,
right.
darkest Peru, you know?
There is no I in anus.
I've known the person I was talking to for 15 plus years. They were like, "Okay, you have a weird sense of humor, but it's not that weird."
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, one person has found us. Nothing to see here has found us. Good thing I'm subscribed to both. Well, thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Hey, nothing.
That works
Welcome to
perfect.
nothing.
Yeah, eventually other cool people will find their way here, but right now
Well,
you're the
I
coolest
tweeted
guest.
out the link,
Thank you.
so I don't know how much that will help, so hopefully it does a little bit.
So this is usually where I go around. Okay, so I asked Skep how he was doing. Did you have anything you wanted to share? Anything else before we say hi to everyone else?
Not in particular, other than the fact that Texas is overrun with immigrants,
Mm-hmm.
and it's freezing fucking cold down here right now. You know, it's going to get down to a wind chill of about 14 degrees tonight, and they've got people sleeping outside in Eagle Pass. This is why we're doing what we're doing, and we're actually at kind of an administrative impasse, shall we say, with the federal government,
Mm-hmm.
where our Texas National Guard has told the border guard that they are not to come on some of the Texas properties that border with Mexico, and we're enforcing the Texas border because they won't. Those assholes.
Yeah, they don't want to.
We're just done with this. We are done with this.
Yeah, don't
And
listen
let
to
me
their
te-
words.
Let me tell you this. Let me tell you this.
Yeah.
If they get a court order saying that we have to cease and desist, I think we won't. And I think it's going to be a big fucking crisis. This is going to be the next big thing. It's going to happen right here.
Maybe Mayorkas will have to come down there and have a chat with people.
If he comes down here, he'll be killed.
He's a leader,
Well-
you know.
We'll fucking kill him.
Well, hopefully metaphorically and hypothetically.
Yeah,
So I was
metaphor.
gonna say,
Yeah.
the Harry channel does
Meta-
not back any of this.
It's been fun, everybody.
Not really kill him. Not really kill him. But I mean, he is just going to be assaulted by every politician down here. He is just going to be nuked from the minute he gets off the airplane with nothing but criticism. He has no friends. Not even the Democrats will help him out down here. Everybody knows that he's poison. No, he's not coming down.
No. So Serenity,
You get nailed.
I have a little
Yo.
thing. I wonder, okay, can you, in your research capacity as our unofficial researcher, figure out when the last time an American politician was tarred and feathered? Just curious. What was that date? Well, we'll come
For
back to
no
you while
reason.
you
That's a
look that
real
up.
possibility.
Hi, Sora.
Hi.
How's it going?
I'm actually
Oh, it's
looking.
good.
Are you experiencing Snowmageddon?
It's now Meltamageddon.
Nice.
So slightly Ice-mageddon, but getting better.
Yeah.
We did have Snowmageddon, and of course, like usual, lost power
Mm,
for 8 hours.
Jesus.
Great.
yeah. That sounds great.
And we were like one of the only places in the city who did at the time, and they kept assigning crew, then removing them, then assigning crew again and removing them. And I was following the tweet thread, and basically people were starting to complain, like, what the hell's going on? And then all they could say was, well, usually when this happens, it's an indication that the crew assigned did not have the correct tools to safely and effectively deal with the situation. You've sent 6 different crew within 8 hours. You knew what the problem was an hour into the power outage. You're telling me at no point did any of these crews communicate to each other what the issue is, and you couldn't bring the proper tools. It was a downed wire due to snow. That's what it was. There was no fallen tree. There wasn't anything. It was like a weight thing, I guess. There wasn't it wasn't an exploded transformer. Nothing like that. Yeah, that's fine.
It's fine. I mean, it's just
Oh,
people's oxygen generators and
Oh yeah,
freezers
and there
and-
was a lot of people starting to complain like, hey, it's freezing, and it was well below 0 that night. And some people were like, hi, I have 5 kids. Are we gonna get heat anytime soon? Because not everybody has gas. Like a lot of places, especially the newer build homes, no longer have natural gas, so they can't stay warm.
oh, of course
It's
not.
all electrical.
Well, yeah, but it makes Greta happy, so that's important. So, nothing to see or say.
What
Bomby
about
15C, 15C in Winnipeg. 15C is not so bad for winter. I mean, anything above 0 is probably good.
Oh, you guys were warmer in Winnipeg than we were here, because we were -12 at one point.
Yeah, it's 59 degrees in
That never
Fahrenheit.
happens.
You were warmer than we were down in West Virginia, bud, and also down in Texas, I bet.
we were colder than everybody. We were down to 4 degrees. 4 degrees above 0
Yeah,
Fahrenheit.
we got down to that at one point too.
Yeah,
Wind chill was like -2, I think.
Yeah, and the
Right
wind chill
here.
was like -2 here.
Yeah.
I'm on the pleasant
Oh,
side of the
minus
jet
15.
stream, so I don't have to worry about it. Oh, does it
was
say?
gonna
Oh,
say.
Oops,
there's a
minus-
minus there.
minus
Ooh,
50.
ooh, damn,
Okay.
that's not good.
Okay, that's 5
That makes
degrees.
more sense.
That's 5
That's the
degrees nothing to
suck.
see here. You're good. You're good. Yeah. You're up
That
there
is
with
the
the rest of us.
that is
You're
the
up there
suck.
with the rest of us.
So, Serenity, did you find an answer?
So there wasn't a
Hi, Jack.
politician.
Yeah.
The most prominent one that wasn't like an anarchist, because I really don't give a shit if an anarchist was tarred and feathered, was Joseph Smith, founder of the Latter-day Saint movement.
Really?
Yep, he was dragged from his home during the night of March 24th, 1832 by a group of men who stripped and beat him before tarring and feathering him. They also pulled his wife and infant child from their beds, and they were threatened. The
When was this?
March 24th, 1832. And the infant supposedly died several days later of exposure.
Now that seems like overkill. Just a good tarring
Yeah.
and feathering is all I was looking for. Just to
Yeah, well, most of the rest of them, there was one that was really funny. What was the one that was weird? Yeah, in 1851, Thomas Paul Smith, a 24-year-old African American from Boston, outspoken in his opposition to school desegregation, was tarred and feathered by a group of African American Bostonians. That's the next biggest one. And then there was an anarchist in 1912. Because of World War I, there was a lot of anti-German sentiment, so there was some of that happening, but most of it was farmers. The most prominent last person to be tarred and feathered I found was a Australian senator by the name of Fred Katz. And that was in Melbourne in 1915, is what it says.
interesting.
There was a tar and feathering for loyalist groups in Northern Ireland in 2007, but it doesn't name anybody. And then there was jackasses who did it to multiple graves and memorials of Confederate soldiers, but that doesn't count. 'cause
That
they
doesn't
weren't
count.
people.
We're
That's
talking
not-
about
that's
we're
not
talking
target
about
feathering.
as a practice because
Yeah.
I like to think of it as impeachment plus.
Yeah.
No. I'm not advocating that we tar and feather
yeah.
politicians, but I'm sort of romanticizing about the idea. I'm
Yeah.
just kind of rolling it around, thinking, good times.
Yeah, the last time it was really used was in North America, at least, was the 18th century. Like it was used a couple times in the 19th and 20th, but nothing major.
Well, I think you mean the 19th
Oh, hi, Green
century.
Badger.
Yeah, we're just talking. We're talking about the good old days when you could make a statement by tarring and feathering really incompetent politicians. But obviously, we can't do that today because it would be wrong.
Yeah, the longest list is during the 18th century, which is the 1700s, which is when we were doing the Revolutionary War stuff. 19th century was the 1800s, and that was the Joseph Smith stuff. And there was only like 3 of those for tar and feathering. There's
Have you
like
ever gotten tar on yourself, Serenity?
I've gotten liquid sugar on me, and that's about as close as I ever want to fucking get.
Man, if you actually tarred and feathered somebody, it would be very, very hard to get that off.
Oh, there's pictures of a guy who's been tarred and feathered on the thing I found.
I think you'd just wait
doesn't
for the
look
new layers of skin to come in for it to fall off. I can't even imagine what you would do to get that off. Almost anything you could do to dissolve it would be worse than just leaving it on.
Well, the problem is that if they get the tar hot enough,
Feels
you're
on your
taking
skin.
you're going down to the 3rd level of skin, and you're
Yeah.
not getting
Yeah.
anything to renew.
Nobody's suggesting that. We're not talking about medieval, people are storming the castles and we're
Yeah.
pouring,
It's just for
buckets
some
of
these
hot
people,
stuff on them.
There was no respite after it happened to them. Like you were stuck, especially if it went down to the 2nd or 3rd dermis. Like you were just screwed because it was staying.
Yeah.
Oh, hi Quippers! I didn't see Quippers either. Hi Quippers.
Yeah, I said hi, Jack. So people are
Jack.
finding us. So, hi, Serenity.
Yo.
Do you have anything you want to share?
Sora and I die like little bitches when we play a video game.
Woo! Like men
You fell in a hole.
screaming. Eat it alive.
Well, she fell in a hole a couple times. I didn't fall in a hole. I just played coward and stay on the ship.
So what were you playing?
Lethal Company.
Lethal Company. This was with Geodes and
Yep.
that crew. Got it.
Cryptic. With Geodes and Cryptic. But yeah, no, it was Sora and I have learned we can't jump, so we're not going to try to jump in games because we suck at it every single time. Yeah, and we die. So I just stayed on the ship like a coward, and Sora has more backbone than I do. And then I don't know, that's about
Good.
it. A new game came out this week, which is Pal World, which is Pokemon. It's like Pokemon Zelda Breath of the Wild and Ark all mixed together. So a bunch of people are playing that. Which Sora, if you wanted to play, Uni's got a server. But that's about it. I haven't had too much. It snowed like a son of a bitch here. We got almost 7 inches of snow. Had to keep an eye on the cats. The dogs loved playing in it. Were stupid because it came up to most of their chests. The rest of the
Aw,
animals
but-
were just off put by it by going, the fuck is this shit?
Yeah.
So far it's not been too bad. It could have been worse if the snow had melted and refreezed and then snowed on top of it because that's a layer of ice and that's not fun on my road.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Skep got as cold as we did, which is a rarity for Texas because you shouldn't be getting as cold as we do.
It's happening every year though now.
Oh, yeah.
Climate disruption seems to be a thing.
I blame China.
Whether or not it's I don't know how much of it's man-made and how much of it's naturally caused, but I don't think anybody else does either. But that said, this
blame
is
China.
not the weather of my youth. I was in and out of Texas my whole life, and 50 years ago the weather was different. It
Yeah.
just was.
50 years
This
ago, the
weather's-
weather was definitely different. I
This
remember.
weather's normal for my part of the country though. This is pretty normal.
Well, I
for us.
remember, like, as a little kid walking to school, that was a thing you were allowed to do without it being child abuse. And
Right,
stepping,
right.
like stepping around frozen puddles that had frozen solid.
Yep.
I haven't seen frozen water on the ground at, outside of being in a mountain for quite a while. It's just not a thing that really happens. And I've actually noticed big changes just in the last 20 years.
I blame the Chinese.
Which doesn't mean there aren't weather events where, the snow level drops down to 500 feet and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, be that as it may. We actually do have some entertainment stuff to talk about, but first we have to do follow-ups. I always put the follow-ups first. Well, I mean, the thing is, as we talk for longer and longer, more and more things become follow-ups. So we might end up being like every frame of pause, where we have one show of nothing but follow-ups, and then a whole
just a
nother show of new stuff.
Just do a monthly stream of, all right, this is all the shit that came beforehand.
So, everybody's favorite comedian, Taylor Tomlinson, launched her show, and the ratings were not terrible, I suppose. 686,000 viewers. That's the
not bad for a
live
time
plus
slot.
same day. It may be more. And to be fair to her, it's not really a replacement for Craig Ferguson, because it isn't really that format. It's like it's like the lame game show thing, where she's running the game show, she brings in 3 comedians, the points don't really matter, and it's all just sort of in fun.
Okay.
I kind of felt that her guests in the pilot episode were not great, and it really didn't work for me, but maybe I'm not the person this is aimed at. So
You're not the target demographic, bud.
Yeah.
yeah, I may not be the target demographic.
You're too old.
I'm
Is
old.
younger, this is younger millennials and older Gen Z they're aiming for.
Yeah.
Sadly, that's what it is, but even I'm too old probably for that demographic.
But I mean, 806,000 viewers was the number for the last episode of James Corden's thing. So she's actually significantly off from the final episode of Corden.
Yeah, but that also, to be fair, there's a lot of people going, "Thank you, God, go away, you piece of crap."
Yeah.
Well, you know how you really know this in about 2 or 3 more weeks
Yeah.
of this, and you'll have a trend line that I bet you can have some confidence in.
Well, people can
Yeah.
judge for themselves. I'm putting a link to the entire first episode that's on YouTube. So if you guys want to check it out, you can decide for yourselves. The link is in the chat. So,
Don't get snippy with me, Jack. They put it on YouTube. It's for the young crowd on YouTube. Don't start with me.
yeah.
I'll come for you, boy.
It's for the youths.
It's for the use. And actually,
They're
can't
not
find
them
the
anymore.
I can't find the article anymore. But there was actually an article saying that a lot of kids, I'm not that old, but a lot of younger are actually going back to cable because there's especially with cutbacks of people not wanting to pay for streaming services, and not everybody wanting to go through the time of sailing the high seas. They're just going back to cable TV because there's a couple channels that even my mom watches that have when they taped live concerts, she told me she was watching the Stevie Nicks concert not too long ago on just regular cable TV. So I think they're trying to swing a ding around to that a little bit, and some people are actually going back to cable. So we may see not a renaissance, but we may see a resurge.
Yeah, I think if she can get funnier guests and maybe slightly better writers, she might be able to pull this off. But I didn't
To be
really.
fair, the first episode, the comedians are going to suck anyway because most of the big comedians that you would get.
Well, you
aren't
know
gonna
that.
do
Well,
that
she got
show.
Whitney Cummings is the only person on there who's like big-ish.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing of Whitney Cummings I liked was Two Broke Girls. That was it.
So she was in that.
I Hate Camel. No, she wrote it. She was
Oh.
one of the co-writers.
Oh, okay.
I Hate Camel.
Hello.
But yeah, that's the only stuff I've liked of her. I don't think she's that funny. I don't think her podcast is that funny. She just seems like she's trying to ride Sarah Silverman's coattails.
Well, yeah,
She's
I've
trying to be
already
like
given
her.
you my opinion that I think she's kind of mid.
Yeah,
But
she's not unfunny, but she's not hilarious. either.
exactly, that's exactly what I think. I think she's right on the line between being funny and not funny, and it's very conflicting for me. I thought just in fairness, I should show you somebody who I actually think is funny. Okay, just for fun, and hopefully the audio won't be messed up because apparently StreamYards is extra retarded today.
Let's see. Let's turn that on.
What kind of work are you in? Now I really want to know.
Special ed.
Do you really? That's good.
Okay, I have to interrupt for copyright reasons, but
Yeah,
I think
banana.
Sam Morril's crowd work is exceptionally good. Okay, I really do.
I like his crowd work better than Matt Rife's. I like it.
Oh
better.
God, it's not even a competition. I originally, well, anyway, let me finish this and then I'll talk.
Well, there's no jokes here. Better move on. You have a girlfriend or no? You do? Do you ever have an argument with her and you'd be like, wow, you're more difficult to communicate with than...
Oh, that's a fight.
What kind?
Okay, no, see, that's the kind of thing I find funny.
Yeah.
I'm a terrible human being. I think Sam Morril is like really, really good.
That's not that wasn't
Yeah.
like there was nothing offensive about that. It's,
Oh,
but
no.
it's the truth. It's like if I worked as a special ed teacher and my significant other was being difficult, I would probably look at you are more difficult than the 5-year-old who's got developmental issues. Will you stop it?
Yeah. Well, we also, I think I mentioned the fact that Broadcom bought VMware and it was causing all kinds of trouble, right? That a number of people weren't happy. Well, Broadcom has successfully dismantled most of the value-added reseller program. They've said, if you're not selling more than $500,000 a year, we're just not that into you. So all the small resellers, integrators are just out. And they've taken a bunch of the big accounts, taken them
VMware?
direct. A VMware.
A VMware?
Yeah. And now,
Are you kidding?
no, I'm not kidding. And it's gone so poorly that people are so pissed off that one of Nutanix, which is a big competitor, their stock has been upgraded to. Now, this is not me giving stock advice, okay? But some people who give such advice have changed it to like outperform and recommended buy and stuff like that. I'm not going to buy it, so I'm not suggesting you do. But they have really screwed the pooch on this acquisition, in my opinion. But
This is like when Unity pulled the bull crap where they were like, we're going to start charging. And everyone was like, all right, screw you. You were going to Unreal and
yeah,
bye-bye.
yeah. Oh, we talked about the cost of electricity in California with the PG&E rates. I just wanted to give you a sample of what that actually looks like. Mountain View, California, according to Energy Sage, 40 cents a kilowatt hour. 40 cents a kilowatt hour. Compared to the national average, you can see the two graphs right here. The national average is 19 cents. Mountain View, California, 40 cents. I picked this because it's the home of Google. Okay. And just for comparison, here's SCEP's energy thing. SCEP is 16 cents a kilowatt, which is actually less than the national average. So if you care about, if you want to retire someplace, maybe Mountain View's not the place to retire. If you don't want your bones to get cold and warm during the summer. Now, as just for comparison's sake, Santa Clara, California, which is also in Silicon Valley, but has their own municipal utility district. They basically buy power wholesale, run their own distribution. PG&E has nothing to do with it. Just a few miles away from each other. Actually less than the national average. In fact, I think it might even be less than SCEP's place. 14 cents a kilowatt hour in Santa Clara, 40 cents in Mountain View.
That's
Anyway,
about what we pay.
it's just
That's what we pay,
astonishing.
about 14 cents.
Yeah, just astonishing. I mean, this has got to hurt like middle income and low income people. If you're low income, you can get a 20% break on your utility bill, but 20% off of a lot is still a lot.
No, it's not helpful. That's a very small thing. That's a political type solution.
Yep.
That's not designed to truly give relief.
Well, they
We have something similar, but not for energy, just for property tax here for small businesses. That is just chef kiss of you guys are now like hating on small business here.
wow.
Unions are making a comeback, though, aren't they?
Yep. Well,
Oh,
the thing with the solar panels is PG&E and the Public Utilities Commission have essentially destroyed the rooftop solar industry. And right before this happened, a bunch of people in this one outfit unionized. And they're saying, well, you're just trying to union bust. It's like, no, the floor has fallen out of the residential solar business in California. because they've made it take twice as long to basically have the systems pay off. I think the 40 cents a kilowatt might re-energize it at some point. So maybe keep your skills up to date, guys, because I might be bringing you back. Oh, one thing I do try to do is, even if people I don't like lose their jobs, I try to not do too much schadenfreude over it. Because I always feel bad about stuff like that. Even if somebody deserves to lose their job, I still feel kind of bad about it. So I'm not going to do the happy dance over this happening. But I'm sure unionizing didn't help.
It never does.
Yet another fast food thing. We talked about the pizza chain getting rid of the delivery drivers because of the $20 an hour. Well, here's another small chain, Fatburger, that's looking at trimming. They're eliminating employee paid vacations, raising menu prices, and laying off a bunch of people and moving a lot of others to part-time. It's having exactly the opposite effect of what the geniuses at the state level thought they were going to do.
I wonder if they're going to do that here because we have Fatburger. I wonder if that's going to be affected in Canada as well.
Well, the California bill that pushes the rate up to $20 an hour is not effective for you. I was thinking about this because
we're not far off.
Well, you know how tipping culture's gotten completely out of control. You know, you show up to some place and they want 20% to hand you a box, you know, for no table service.
I watched a YouTube short / TikTok thing where apparently some lady was buying her wedding dress and they had a tip option for that.
Huh? Why?
Like she was buying her wedding dress from a wedding store, you know, bridal shop, and when she goes to pay, they had a tip option.
That's a fuck off right there.
Because
That's what that is.
Say you're an average wedding dress, you're probably looking at around $1,500 to $3,000, and that's sort of your kind of average low end price for a wedding dress from a store. Okay.
Yep.
They want 15 to 20% or more on top of that for tip. For what? For pulling a dress off the rack, for filling out the order form. You're not even going to see that dress unless you buy it off the rack. If your proportions are perfect, you will not be seeing that dress for 10 months because it's going to be shipped off to China to be made. Right?
Yep.
And they want you to tip on top of that for something you will not have in your hands for months. So you're not even 100% sure that they put in the right order yet, and they want you to tip on top of that. That pissed me off.
That sounds just terrible.
That really was amazing. Like, no.
But
absolutely not.
The only situation in that would make me tip is if I was spending big money at like a high-end like haute couture like wedding dress shop. And even then, it's like
making it on you, or if after the fact you get it altered, you can tip the seamstress. That 100%. That is
which is what you're supposed to do.
I agree with you. Exactly. They're making it on you, or you're getting it altered. That's different, but that's a skill you're paying for, and you're tipping on top of that as well. It's kind of like going to a salon, right? Yep. That is a skill and a service, and you tip for that. But just for the person, you know, just for like, it's like going into H&M and having a girl, you know, you ask a girl, can you find more of this style in the back? And then she expects you to pay 20% on the item you're purchasing because she took it from the back.
Yeah.
You know?
20%? What happened since the last time I tipped?
A lot.
Oh, it's now
there was
it's like
some
25%
whining
in some places. They're wanting here as well. It's such a difficult conversation because it polarizes so many people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've worked in the hospitality industry, so it's not like I haven't personally been part of tipping culture. And I can say when I was I've done every job in the restaurant industry except for owner. And I'm not kidding. I mean, I've done every job except owner. And I know when I was waiting tables, a lot of times I would have trouble. I would feel like I would not make as good a tips as the good-looking young women. And then at a certain point, after a while, I'd start to get some regulars, and they'd realize it's like, I get my stuff a lot more quickly. I can actually get in and out of here, and I can still flirt with them when they walk by, the people that are associated with my table, and I get fed. And my tips actually were as good or better, you know, after a little bit of practice. It's, I don't know, unearned privilege. Is that what I'm complaining about? Yeah, I guess. Anyway.
Oh, no. my greatest enjoyment to go to restaurants is to have cash and do exact change.
Mhm.
Be like, sorry, I don't have anything. And it's not like an actual sit down restaurant. It's like fast food places. If they try to pull that, it's like tip, no, exact change, got nothing for you. Get away from me.
Yeah, that's happened more than a few times.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. Unless you want the 2 pennies, I ain't got to tell you.
Well, I will say this, that in California, if you're going to be paying these workers $20 an hour to flip burgers, and you also throw a tip jar out there, you're not getting a tip from me if you're going to jack the price up and a lot, because you know they're going to raise the prices a lot.
Exactly.
You can do one or the other. You can either say they don't get paid a lot because the margins are low, or you can pay them $20 an hour and not expect a tip. I'm
that's
not
the-
doing both.
Well, that's the other problem with this whole tipping thing is like you have a lot of people who were either terrible servers and always never made really good tips because they were terrible at it, or you have people who are talking about it who don't understand. It's like if you're hourly, which is the tipping hourly, and your tips together do not equal minimum of the state minimum wage, then the employer has to bump your hourly pay up to that minimum wage.
True.
If you're good enough at it, you don't want that.
If you're bad at it, you'll probably go do something else before it becomes much of an issue.
Well, yeah, but that's the thing, though, is that you have a lot of people saying that it's like, do you see how much they pay tipped hourly, like, waiters and stuff like that? It's like, by law, they have to pay them at least minimum wage. So you either have to get good at the job or you quit. It's like they're not paying them $2 an hour. Stop it.
Honestly, I don't know. Thinking back, I can't think of too many people that were really bad at waiting tables who chose that as a job.
Yeah.
What I did see was people who couldn't control the rest of their life and it influenced their work
Yep.
who were waiting tables. Just essentially just a human train wreck. And it would impact their work, obviously, as it does, right, Scap?
Yeah.
Your life is out of control. It's going to affect your job. Whether it's showing up late, not showing up at all, doing a crappy job because of that. It wasn't a question of skill. It was always a question of, you're letting your personal shit screw up your job performance.
We used to say you're letting your 9 to 5 or your 5 to 9 interfere with your 9 to 5.
Exactly. Well, while we were talking last week, something was going on in San Jose, which I did not know about. I only found out about it after the fact. Further Confusion 2024 convention helps boost business in downtown San Jose. So apparently there was a huge-ass furry convention in downtown San Jose. And,
Of course there was.
Nice.
yeah, FurCon takes over San Jose. Apparently they went around and spent money and did all the things. It's like tourism. Why not?
How many U.S. Army lieutenant colonels were there? Jesus Christ.
I don't
Probably a
know.
good number. Probably more than you think.
No, that's the problem. I know there was at least one.
Oh yeah, no, there's a lot of furries.
I know his
There's
name.
a lot of fucking furries.
Yeah, again, I really don't have an issue. I just would like a heads up. There needs to be something kind of like an
Oh, that
Amber
was
Alert,
cool.
an Amber
that-
Alert that lets me
back.
know that when I'm driving through downtown San Jose and I see people walking around wearing these
there.
outfits, I just want a heads up. That's all I want.
Right there, Harry.
I
little
just
bit-
don't want them driving my B2s.
Why? If they do their job well, what does
Is
it
that
matter?
it? No.
No,
If they're-
go
if
back.
they- if
go
they-
back
if
there.
they are furries,
further.
there's other stuff wrong with them.
That one?
That
That
right
one.
there.
That's so cool. I like that.
She looks like a Neko. Just a regular, like a.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Slightly creepy, but very cool.
Again, no hate. I just want a heads up because I don't want to get into a traffic accident because I'm suddenly startled by the fact that that's all I'm
that's
asking
fair.
for. Just some
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
fair.
some kind of furry alert system, just to let me know about
I think they call that Twitter.
the visual hazard.
Jack feels seen. Is that
Yeah.
because
You are a
you-
furry,
you
or because
would've
you
liked
hate the
to be
furries?
there?
You have to be slightly more specific, Jack. You can't just say I feel seen.
God, I can't remember if I've ever even been to a convention before. Have I ever been to a convention? I don't know.
I've been.
I-
You,
disabled.
you
I
never,
don't
you never
wanna
went to,
go-
you never went to Comdex.
No, I don't mean like a work thing. I think I went.
He means
to,
a
I think
fun one.
I think I went to like just the
Been to a
the
Star Trek one
the
by
to a
accident.
Star Trek thing once, and I bought some merch. I'm pretty sure I went to
Oh,
a Star
yeah.
Trek thing once.
I've actually never been to a convention for pleasure. The only ones I've ever gone to were for business, and I've been to a ton of those.
I've been to quite a few. I've never been to a furry one. I don't like the furry ones because they're weird. Anime conventions are just as weird, but they're more naked, which is just a weird thought. And it's always
Naked anime. Okay.
if you've seen some of the outfits that some of these anime characters are,
Yeah.
But it's either the people who you know are plastic surgery or starved themselves to be able to wear that outfit, or it's the people who should never be seen naked. I've been to a lot of gaming conventions though. I like gaming conventions. Gaming conventions are fun.
I think just getting out of the house is good, especially after
Well,
the stupid pandemic.
Well, I'm a dice dragon, so I love to collect the little clicky clack math rocks. So, and they always have
Yay.
displays of the dice sets, and I'm like, yes. I have a bunch of board games that I saw first at conventions. I have a bunch of tabletop RPG books that I saw at first at conventions that I got for pretty cheap because they were usually used first prints. So I got a few of those. I like going to stuff. I've been to several, but I don't like I've been near a furry one, like furry convention. It was terrifying. Like just watching stuff walk down the street, and I'm like, why couldn't you have done this near Halloween? Why?
Well, here's a story about somebody who might be looking for a better girlfriend.
Uh-oh.
Steam's most anticipated city builder hits 2 million wish lists after solo dev's girlfriend predicts he'd be lucky to hit 7,000.
This
Aw.
is Manor Lords. That's the reason why Manor Lords was always going to be a massive hit. Like,
Well, yeah, but I mean, honestly, there's some guy by himself trying to produce some city builder game as an independent, and then his girlfriend tells him, you're only going to get 7,000 sales if you're lucky.
and
like-
that's the type of girlfriend that needs to be dumped.
Yeah, she sounds terrible. And
That's-
honestly, if this game is as successful as it probably is going to be, he's going to be in a good position to do that.
Well, it's going to depend on how much of a workaholic he is, because I know Concerned Ape, who did Stardew Valley, is constantly working.
Well, I
So
think it
this
also
guy-
depends on how much of a C word she is, and maybe she should tone it down just a little bit.
I hope he broke up with her. That's what I'm hoping. Like, okay, let me rephrase that. If it was a malicious statement of, this is only going to do 7,000, what the hell is wrong with you? Then he needs to break up with her. If she's like,
Or it's an excellent,
driving force,
yeah,
Yeah.
not driving force, but what do they call it? A toy for sales. Like this post will never reach a million likes or whatever, that kind of thing.
yeah, it
Oh,
was
yeah.
a sales tactic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see it being a sales tactic too.
Yeah, well, conspiracies everywhere. So here's a sample of what the game looks like.
Manor Lords looks like a good game. I've seen it.
Yeah. I mean, for something a solo put together, this looks pretty darn good to me. Let me turn the audio down on that a little bit there. I mean, this looks like a pretty decently put together thing. I mean, I know that a lot of this might be rendering, but I could play this. Since I can't play City Skylines 2.
Well, depending on what engine you used and built it in, there's some of that stuff would have been stuff from the store, but that's still like putting all the mechanics in to make it work together. That's the bitch of it all, not the graphics. The graphics
Yeah.
are stuff that if you know the right artist, you could do very easily. It's the internal AI mechanics that are a frickin' pain in the butt.
Well, it's coming in April for anybody who's interested.
Yep.
So, because I like indie games, and yeah, it's cool.
There was a demo in October that people could have gotten their hands on. That's probably the other thing that added to the number of people is that because it was a free demo.
Mhm.
That probably helped a lot too because it made people go, oh.
Well, I just think that guy's girlfriend needs to be a lot nicer.
Well, like I said, it depends on the tone she said it. If she was like, baby, I don't think this is even going to get 7,000 players. Like, if it's not said in a mean way.
Well, here's
I
another video game, but it's really just an introduction to another topic.
Hi, Joel.
Tunnel Rabbi Alpha.
No.
Okay, not a real game. But
Terrible.
I know. But
I love it.
inside mysterious 50-foot long tunnel beneath Brooklyn synagogue that sparked a riot. Have you guys been hearing about the tunnel Jews in New York?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Can you
People
tell me
screaming,
what the
"There's
hell's going
blood!"
on?
There were people accusing them of the M word because there was air quotes blood on the mattress.
Yeah. Well,
It's like,
anybody, if you've ever done rock climbing or any kind of digging, you know, you're going to cut yourself occasionally. It sounds like they're trying to claim they were just trying to do a Porky's and get a peek at some of the women's area by tunneling over to it, or maybe they were just using it to sneak in during COVID.
it's an abandoned mikvah. It's not had anybody in like 20 or 30 years.
Then why
It's just-
build a tunnel to it? This seems weird.
Because the original person who was part of that group, this was like some odd time ago, because I actually watched a thing on it, had claimed it for the expansion of the synagogue, but they kept hitting red tape, if I remember correctly. And then these number of younger Hasidic Jews had decided, no, screw it, we're taking it, and just had decided to go take it. But yeah, no, that mikvah's been abandoned for a very, very long time, so they weren't trying to see anything.
Okay. So what's the point in taking it? I still feel like I don't understand what's going on. Like,
Because they believe it's theirs by right, because they technically should have owned it already and already done their expansion. Because it was something that was supposed to have been started a long time ago. But yeah, no, the timing of this is the thing that I side eye to a great massive deal. Also the side eyeing of the misinterpretation of certain information that's coming out. Hi, Sir and Mantine. Just because of like the mattress, where they were like, people were like, "There's blood on there. They were doing things, dirty Jews," and that's what they were saying.
Oh, yeah.
And that's my issue, is that the timing for when this blew up is amazing. Amazing.
yeah, it does seem a little convenient, doesn't it? But yeah,
Yeah, and
but when I see video of like a guy in full Jewish attire climbing out of some tunnel onto the
Yeah.
street, I have to say I'm just a little confused.
Oh yeah, no, the Hasidic Jewish community in New York is out of their mother flipping minds, especially the younger ones.
Yeah.
The younger ones are, as someone who has had to deal with them a couple times, and this was years ago. This was back when my grandfather was still alive, and some of the younger ones followed family members of mine down from New York who were up there, who were former Hasidic, and some of the younger guys followed them down here, and then my grandfather had to go out there with a shotgun and run them off. They're religious zealots, a lot of them, who are just as bad as every other religious zealot that exists in the world, and so I don't have a whole lot of respect for some of them.
Well, I think we can
but-
seamlessly transition to the next story. Speaking of zealots, this next two stories are about what I just call language police. Federal officials are banning humorous electronic messages on highways.
Aw.
Saw that coming.
So, Skep, the manual that they're releasing from the U.S. Federal Highway Administration is 1,100 pages long. And it's
1,100 pages of goodness.
It's 1,100 pages long, including the
Yeah.
rules that spell out how signs and other highway control devices are regulated.
Yeah.
Come
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
seriously?
no. Yeah. When I was in the Navy, the naval travel publications were contained in 3 volumes that were about 1,400 pages long.
Mhm.
The only reason for these 3 manuals was to compute the days per diem to pay officers when they're doing temporary duty away from their normal duty station usually, and they're being paid to be someplace difficult, and so computing per diem rates in Rydia, which I actually had to do at the postgraduate school, and it's thousands and thousands of pages of extremely detailed stuff that 95% of all the officers who use that manual will never use more than about 2% of that manual. I'm talking about the travel pubs. But the the range of situations over which they have to account for how things must be is is and their experience base is so long they've had time to write these regulations. They all make it in. One thing about a regulation, federal regulation, once it's written, it's immortal. It will exist in the Federal Register until the heat death of the universe. I promise you. The regulations, they when they get revised, they just get expanded. They never get dropped.
Well, clarity's important, Skep.
Well, yeah, absolutely. There are still manuals. There's still people who are charged to update the operating instructions for the Rural Electrification Commission. I shit you not. There are two people in Washington D.C. who are charged with. They're the librarians for the Rural Electrification Commission. Why? What?
I don't know. I don't know.
What?
Well, onto some private sector language policing. This just struck me as really weird. A millennial mocked corporate workers for using military jargon in the office. We're not in the trenches, we're in Excel.
Wait, what? Wait, a millennial mocked what?
Yeah, so a writer hilariously railed against employees using military jargon in the office. So, like, you know, when I said Bohica on the last show, I guess I'm not supposed to do that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And took particular issue with the phrase such as mission critical and boots on the ground.
Yep.
We have a war room that's for reviewing document. One TikTok. Okay, all right. So, look, when groups of people organize to accomplish a mission, there's a certain commonality with the terms and issues and the ways that the people communicate to accomplish that mission. Doesn't matter whether it's business or military. It's a very natural thing to develop something that's already a well-oiled machine, that is that set of terms from the military that describes things like boots on the ground and war room, and just use that as a translation. If somebody objects to that, it sounds to me like they just have a problem with the military period, and they're just using this to vent their
As an
spleen.
excuse.
Right.
Yeah, as an
exactly.
excuse to be annoyed or offended by something. I've
Look at me.
I'm probably more guilty of this than most people, just because I've spent so much time around military people of all different ages that, and also it's the military industrial complex. You have lots of military people that move in, and then they bring the language into the workplace.
Absolutely.
So some guy
It's what
who's-
it's what they're comfortable using.
It's what they're comfortable using. So you talk about, say, a force multiplier, right? So,
Right.
It says right on the side of the MREs, that good nutrition is a force multiplier. Make each soldier that much more efficient. Well, learning how to use your editor competently if you're a programmer is a force multiplier. Lots of things are force multipliers. It doesn't just mean... it's just the idea of leverage of a person having a giant lever to solve a problem, whether that is a group of people in your way that you need to go through by any means necessary, or
Right.
or deploying some big complicated system for private sector or the government.
Yeah.
The idea of a force multiplier is, it's okay to use that phrase outside of the military, I think.
Yes, it is.
These people are just really thin-skinned. Does it
Yeah.
traumatize them?
It must.
I don't know. Is it Gen Z or is it millennials that we don't like periods at the end of a sentence in text?
They're
That was Gen Z. 'Cause
Yeah,
Gen Z
that was
thinks
the
you're
Gen
bad
Z
at them.
affectation.
they're the ones that were hiring the coach to teach them how to talk on the phone because they just can't even.
Yeah. Well, that's also a lot of younger millennials too. It's like, I don't want to talk on the phone. Then don't get shit done. There you go. There's your two options.
Yeah,
Bang,
well,
bang.
that's how we figure out
hate
which of
talking
you
on
are
the
weak and
phone.
which of you to hire. So, we'll just say,
What?
call us up on the appointment. And if-
I that's my job though, so it's just like
Yeah.
for my own private stuff. I'm like, "Ugh, I don't want to call to make an appointment.
Yeah, but that at least makes sense for like you and me, Sora, when I was like working at a call center and I was on the phone 8 hours a day. Like it makes
Yeah.
sense for us to be like that because it's like I've already been on the phone. But a lot of them, they just spend all day on the running around on TikTok. They're like, but I have anxiety. It's like, so do the rest of us. Get over it.
Everybody
Welcome
has
to hell.
anxiety. Would you like
Unless
to
you
see
have-
a real-time measurement of my cortisol?
Oh God.
No.
We could probably run half the freaking power grid in California off
Yeah.
cortisol levels, Harry.
Yeah,
But
I'm better at dealing with stress. I mean, the weird thing is that little things stress me out. Big things, I become very, very calm and collected. I just get
Same.
extremely detached. It's not an issue. It's after the fact I can freak out about how I almost died. But during the crisis, I am very cool.
Right.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, it's the little shit that just annoys the crap out of me.
It's the reason why I always do the thing in my own head where I go, the worst they can say is no.
Mm-hmm.
Most people aren't trying to embarrass you. Most people aren't trying to be jackasses. The worst they'll say is no.
Yep.
Just do it. Let them say no and move on, because then at least you have an answer.
No's a great word.
Yeah.
Great word. Much better than somebody who gives
and then
you.
you have to tell yourself, or at least I have to tell myself, it's not personal.
Yeah. It's not
It's-
personal.
It's very rarely that it's personal. It's just
Yeah.
they can't time, ability,
Or
you're
they
the wrong
someone.
person for you to be
Yeah.
asking this. You know, all of that.
Yeah.
Just that's it. And then-
Very rarely is it personal. Very rarely is it focused at you. Very rarely are you even going to stay in their memory. 99.99% of the time, you will forget them just as easy as they will forget you. Like, worst they can say is no, and you will be forgotten. Move on.
Yeah. I don't want to dox Sora, but I sent you a joke in private chat. Okay.
But it sounds like a clout chaser TikToker who's just looking for something to be pissy about and get people behind them. That's what it sounds like.
So it's a little obvious. Okay, so yeah. All right. Well, this is stupid and we don't
But
care. All right, so I'm going to talk about this, and I'm not going to give you the expected answer. I'm going to have to defend Tesla ever so slightly. So a bunch of people in Chicago went to charge their Teslas, but they didn't
Yeah.
bother to read the damn instructions.
Like most of them do. They don't read the instruction manuals.
So they went there, waited like 12 hours at the supercharger, couldn't charge their fancy electric car. And the reason they couldn't charge their fancy electric car is by design, it will damage the batteries if you charge them at below a certain temperature.
Yep.
So there's actually a process you're supposed to follow, which preconditions the battery so that it is ready to be charged in super cold weather. Yes.
Also known as heating the battery.
Also known as heating the battery. I mean, obviously, this is a pain in the ass,
Thinking out loud here.
but it's actually in the Tesla owner's manual.
How does Tesla say to condition the battery?
Let's see. Tesla. Let's see. Where was it?
Oh,
Sorry, it was in extremely cold. Okay, let me make this a little bigger. In extremely cold weather or icy conditions, it is possible that your charge port latch may freeze in place in cases where you cannot remove it. Okay, so they basically want you to defrost this thing, but this is the wrong thing. But I promise you, that's for the charge port. There's also. Oh, Tesla recommends activating climate settings at least 30 to 45 minutes before departure. Preconditioning times depend on outside temperature and other factors. The mobile app will notify you, yada, yada, yada. So they want your car to be warm,
yeah.
essentially.
That's what this is. Yeah.
You know.
it's-
Which makes sense.
Yeah. Tesla recommends using Trip Planner to navigate 45 minutes before arrival. Battery temperature and charging conditions. If the drive to the charging location is less than 30 to 45 minutes, consider preconditioning the battery before driving. See before driving. Yeah, you will just damage your battery, and your expensive, fancy car will not last very long if you don't take care of it when it's exceptionally cold.
Don't worry. Replacing the battery is convenient and inexpensive.
And you'll know ahead of time exactly how much it'll cost. It won't be like taking an ambulance ride to one of several hospitals 80 miles away when you have no insurance. It won't be like that at all.
No, exactly. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Electric vehicles are, they're just, I'm sorry, the technology it's close. It is close, but it's not there. Right now, this is a Sunshine State, uh, maybe a commuter's car in the Sun Belt. You cannot do this in Minnesota, and as the city government of Detroit found out, she stopped working up there. they're fucked.
Yeah, you wouldn't want it in Alaska either. But then again, you would also be smart enough to do things like put a heater on your oil pan, because even gasoline engines and diesel, at a certain point, carbon monoxide crystallizes.
Well,
That's a thing you have to worry about in parts of Alaska when it gets exceptionally cold.
Oh yeah.
that's 30 below.
Yeah.
But yeah, that you the big thing is just changing the energy states in no there's just too many things to control right now. We need better, more self-contained systems to run these electric vehicles. We're getting there, but there's still a bunch of engineering to be done.
Well, Joe McLaughlin brings up a good point in chat. Shouldn't the preconditioning happening automatically?
No. How does it know when you're going to go charge your car? How does it know you're not leaving your car in a parking lot for a 9-month Westpac?
Because especially with Teslas, you tell it when you're going to the charging station.
Well, you ask it
right?
I guess you could.
Yeah.
Certainly. Okay. Here's what they should do at the bare minimum. You show up at the charging station. You try to initiate charging. It should give you a clear error message saying why you can't charge your car, so you don't have to have your car towed to the Tesla dealership, where they offer you like a hot beverage and then explain to you that it's going to cost you a lot of money because you didn't read the manual.
Or at the very least, like when you get to like 10%, a pop-up happens on that giant freaking screen that's in that car and goes, just to be aware, if you're going to charge your vehicle, you need to do this, this, and this.
I hate
Would
the
you
big
like to
screen in the
initiate
car.
now?
I hate the big
It's
screens in the cars.
It's ridiculous. Why does it need to be that big? Tell me what station my radio is on and be big enough for me to look at my nav. That's all I want if I'm going somewhere. Like, it does not need to be like the size of a freaking major iPad.
Also, it's going to wear out after 5 to 7 years anyway. It's going to get burn in. It's going to have problems. I don't want parts in my car that aren't just regular replacement things like brake pads that just break easily like that.
Yeah,
Man, a long time ago, my dad tried to refurbish. I think it was a Lincoln Continental Mark III.
Oh my.
Yeah, that's
Now,
what I'm talking about.
That was
what year? What year were we talking?
I don't remember, but it was late 50s, early 60s.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mark
60s.
III. Okay. Now this thing had all the bells and whistles, electric antenna going up and down, electric windows, and this is before that was on most things. So this was a luxury thing and had electric stuff everywhere, and all of it just broke because it was an American car. There was all this crap that just did not work on that car because it had all this technology in it that just couldn't hold up. It kind of makes you want to just get like an old Mercedes with a diesel engine with glow plugs. You go out there, you warm up the glow plugs, it gets cranky and it just does its Teutonic best to turn over, and then you just drive it and you don't have to worry about all this crap. Just give me like a 1960 Mercedes diesel.
When I lived in Spokane, do you know what they did with diesel cars? And this was like everybody does this in Spokane. When it gets cold, and it gets really cold in Spokane, they put electric blankets. They opened the hood of their car and put an electric blanket over the engine, close the hood, and turn the electric blanket up as high as it will go. And that's how they start their diesels in the morning.
Yep, but that's
works,
actually
man.
very, very normal to put something like that. That's sort of a magnetic heating pad on the oil pan, and just by keeping the oil pan in that oil reservoir so that the oil will circulate, that
oil
does a lot.
That helps. a lot.
Sorry, Swinard, I didn't mean to step on you there. You were going to say something.
Oh no, you're good. I just said, hey, if it works and it doesn't blow the car up, go to town.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I'm very paranoid about one, because of my state, and two,
I mean, because you have no
I'm
charging stations in your whole state.
we apparently have started to get some, so we're not completely dead barren anymore. But anyway, it's one of those. It's like to me hybrids make more sense, especially just with how things are.
I don't even think hybrids are the solution yet.
No,
I don't think they are either. But
they are
when
for
it
some
comes to
things.
that, in that group though, they're the furthest I would go is a hybrid. But I just want a regular gas machine till someone gets better at something. Like,
Well, there's only a handful of problems that really need to be solved. And okay, so for one thing, not all cars are good for all things.
Yeah,
It's stupid to
100%.
have a ginormous car that you use once a year to go to Home Depot to carry lumber, but makes it impossible to park at the store, and it makes your life just generally miserable because it's way bigger than it needs to be. But people put up with it because they love those cars, right? So
Yeah. I have a
people
farm
make
truck.
irrational decisions all the time. So you can, if
Those are aesthetic decisions.
no, but if
are
somebody has like a
incorrect.
50-mile commute, okay, so 50 miles each way, and they own a Nissan Leaf, they come home, they plug their Nissan Leaf in, they drive to work, they drive home, they never touch a gas station, they don't have to worry about huge amounts of maintenance that occur up and until they need, I mean, obviously, other than like brake pads and oil, they don't have any
right.
coolant, they don't have spark plugs, they don't have all this stuff. So, very little maintenance. They hardly ever take it in to get it repaired. And at some point, it just sort of wears out because the battery gets bad enough
Well,
that
it's
they
a-
don't
it's a-
get
it's
enough
a Nissan.
distance, right? Yeah,
And it's a Nissan.
and it's fine. It's fine. It's
Yeah.
totally perfect for that person, and that person is very happy. But if you have a longer commute, or you live in a place that's going to kill the battery because the temperatures are too low much of the year, then don't buy that. You know, buy something else. Just buy something else, or read the owner's manual. I don't care.
Yeah, really.
Just read the damn owner's manual.
It's one of those things where it's just like I have, because if you keep it on your private property, you don't have to register the vehicle. So we have a farm truck, and the farm truck's sole purpose, is to move big heavy things when we pay other people to drop them off, like the big things of hay and stuff like that. It literally has farm truck written on the side of it,
Good.
spray paint. So this way, if the cops come, they're like, "You don't drive." No, it says farm truck. What did you think?
Did you learn to drive on the farm truck?
No, I learned to drive on two different cars. I learned to drive on my grandmother's old Jeep Cherokee, and I learned to drive on my mom's old manual Honda Civic, 93 Honda Civic.
Nice.
EX. I have to put the EX in there. So those are the two things I learned to drive on. The farm truck, because it's massive. It's one of the flatbed trucks. It's one of those ones, like just a step down from a flatbed tow truck. That's what the farm truck is, because it's huge. So they didn't want me touching that until I was used to it, until I was used to the Jeep, and then they were like, "All right, now you can touch it." Plus, it's an old school diesel manual gearbox, which that's a learning curve unto itself. That thing's but she sits in the barn during the wintertime, and I go out there and start her every once in a while when it gets real cold, and she's still working, and
Yep.
she's good Lord, my grandfather bought her in the 60s. She's still running.
Keep it forever.
She
You know what I learned to-
a nuke's gonna go off and that thing ain't gonna die.
Wow.
EMP? What EMP?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Bitch, what?
Did my glow plugs just get warm? It's fine. I would worry more about rats eating the insulation if you keep it in the barn than I would about a nuke going off near it.
Oh, what we do is we have they're like it's layered leather and not vinyl, the water resistant material that goes over top of that my grandfather made, that go over the window, and and it has a split in it on the side windows, and the cats sleep in the truck during the wintertime. So they have a nice little place they can sleep, so none of the rats go anywhere near it.
That'll do it.
That's so
Because
cute.
the farm cats will just eat them.
So
And
this actually reminds me of, excuse me, one of the potential palate cleansers that I have here. And I'm just going to turn the sound off on this because I don't really care about most of this, but I'll tell you what the important part is. Let's see. Kill that.
Because she was
So this is a little thing about Julia Child, who,
Oh yeah.
you know, she
She was a
worked in
badass.
military intelligence during World War II. But one of the
People
things
don't know this about her. Yeah.
But one of the things that she had, like this this assignment, I said that they're talking about there was a problem of underwater explosives being set off by curious sharks. And she was tasked with finding a way to not have that happen. Those were there to keep the enemy on their toes, not to blow up sharks. So what can we do to keep the sharks away? So she actually cooked up a recipe for a shark repellent that they applied to the underwater explosives, which made the sharks stay away from them. And she later quipped that that was her greatest recipe, which I find to be
Nice.
yeah,
right on.
Like the Batman shark repellent.
exactly.
Ah!
Oh, that's right. It was on the utility belt, wasn't it? Bat shark
Yep.
repellent. Nice. Well, Batman lived because Julia Child came up with a recipe for something. Yeah, that's a thing that she actually invented during World War II, a
Which
shark
is
repellent.
Awesome.
Yeah, pretty cool.
She was a cool ass lady.
Let's see. Crazy Japan inflationary shopping. I wrote a note to myself and I have no idea what it means. What does crazy in Japan inflationary shopping mean? I guess we'll find out. No,
It'll load.
it won't load.
No, we won't. It'll be a mystery.
okay. 100 yen shops caught in an inflationary ringer. That's probably what it means, Harry.
Well,
The
damn.
100 yen shops can't, or like it's kind of like here where the dollar trees are now $1.25. The 100 yen shops in Japan are probably having the same problem because they can't raise their prices, but they need to raise their prices, but they can't raise their prices.
Do what the United States does.